The trauma trap, when experience becomes identity instead of information. Trauma is not only about what happened. It is about how the experience was integrated. When an experience is overwhelming, the nervous system does something very specific. Instead of evaluating the experience, the brain encodes it as identity-based protection. The experience becomes a permanent reference point for survival. Instead of, that situation hurt me, the mind concludes, this is who I am. This creates what we might call an identity lock. For example, a child who feels repeatedly rejected may not conclude, my parents struggle to meet emotional needs. Instead, the child concludes, I am someone who is not wanted. This identity becomes the lens through which future experiences are interpreted. And from that moment onward, the brain becomes highly sensitive to any signals that confirm the identity. Even neutral experiences may be interpreted as rejection. The trauma identity becomes a self-reinforcing loop. Once trauma becomes identity, experiences stop serving evolution. Instead of producing clarity, experiences begin reinforcing the old narrative. The loop looks like this: trigger, memory, emotional reaction, behavior, confirmation of identity. For example, fear of abandonment leads to overpleasing or controlling behavior. That behavior destabilizes the relationship. The relationship eventually ends. The mind concludes, see? I knew it. I always get abandoned. The experience reinforces the trauma identity. Not because the belief is true, but because behavior unconsciously recreates the same outcome. Breaking this loop requires a fundamental shift. Experiences must move from identity confirmation back to information extraction. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? The new question becomes, what is this experience showing me about my patterns? This is where awareness interrupts the cycle. Because once patterns become visible, identity no longer needs to carry the burden of the past. Experiences can return to their original function, providing clarity about alignment and misalignment. When experiences are no longer fused with identity, something important happens. The nervous system regains flexibility. Painful experiences can still occur, but they no longer define who you are. They simply become feedback about direction. Instead of reinforcing a trauma identity, experiences begin refining a conscious one. You move on from, I am someone who gets hurt, to, I am someone who learns. This is the essence of unconditional experiencing. Life stops being a battlefield of identity threats. It becomes a field of information. Every experience offers insight. Every experience reveals preference. Every experience clarifies alignment. And through that process, consciousness evolves. Not by avoiding pain, but by refusing to let pain define who we are.